Hey guys, welcome to Draw With Sandee at the Little Artistic Nook. Today we'll be drawing this cute little llama fruit. Okay guys, so this is a different little fruit here. I had never heard of it till I looked it up. But we are going to start our drawing today with a pencil just to get a basic shape before we add in our details. So I'm sketching here just a large sort of oval shape, and what you're looking for is something that's a little bit wider on the top and it will be a little bit narrower across the bottom. Alright, and now I'm going to switch over to my marker, but you can continue drawing in pencil if that's your preference. So basically what we're going to be doing is working our way down this shape with a series of overlapping triangles. So I'm starting right at that top edge and just tracing over that curve, and as I come down into the body of this llama fruit, I'm going to create a triangle. I'm going to build across the top edge of my llama fruit, just creating these triangles. They're going to be side by side. Now, when you're making these, I'm not really aiming to have them all be exactly the same size. I'm not too concerned about whether or not they're overlapping perfectly or anything like that. We're just trying to create some texture in this fruit. So start off making these triangles all the way across that top curve. And when you've finished off your top curve, what we're going to do now is we're going to come underneath these triangles, and I'm going to start just within the last ones on the edges, and I'm going to start drawing these triangles so that they just connect right underneath. So again, don't worry if they're bigger. I'm not going to show any top lines to these because we're sort of imagining that they're coming right out from underneath the top level. When we come out to the final sort of edge here of this second row, I'm going to start to curve. So you can see I've drawn that outside curve of the triangle so it almost looks a little more like an oval, so that we can start to round and taper this llama fruit as we come towards the bottom. Okay, so now we have 2 layers, and I'm just going to go ahead and start doing the third layer. So once again, you kind of want to start tapering in. So on your outside edge triangles, you want that, on the left side there, you want the left edge to be curved so that it's kind of pointing towards the bottom center, and then on the right side, that curve will point also towards the bottom center. And you can see that I'm just making these a little bit bigger. So now I'm moving on to my 4th row, and this is probably close to center line for my llama fruit. If it's not centered on yours, you can maybe go down another layer, or maybe this was your 3rd row. So I'm just occasionally going to break the line as I bring that triangle back up to meet the row above, but I'm making them bigger so that I have a little more space for when I add our little face after. When you guys are drawing this, as you come towards the outside edges of your llama fruit, don't forget to keep rounding towards the bottom center. And if your outside edge or your last little triangle isn't a full triangle, don't worry about it. They can be a little narrower. It's going to give the illusion that your llama fruit is rounded anyways, and that these little shapes are continuing on around the back. So you can also see that I've definitely come inside of my original pencil sketch, but I can erase those lines after. Okay, and I think I can probably fit in a couple more rows here, so I'm just going to start bringing them just to the inside of my upper row. And when you guys come down to the bottom, we're still going to keep these little triangular shapes, so it's not going to be sort of smoothed out like it is at the top. You're still going to see that differentiation between each little segment. Alright, so now I'm going to go up to the top and add some details, starting with a little stem. So just find a place at the top and we'll draw out a little curve And then I'm just going to make like a small little circle right off the top of this curve here. And then I will bring it back down, sort of narrowing as I reach the top of the fruit. And then we're going to add just a nice broad leaf coming out towards the left. So I'm starting here by just drawing a little stem, and I'm going to continue this line, sort of curving it and having it be a broken line. We're actually just sketching the vein of the leaf. And then I'm going to go around across the top here, and I'm going to keep the top of this leaf a little bit rounded. And then I'm just going to create that opposite curve along the bottom. Then you can go ahead and add in those extra little veins by just making some little V-shaped marks coming towards that center line. So for my llama fruit's face, I'm going to make a really happy face. So find some really nice big spaces for yourself. And then we're just going to do some rainbow eyes. And then right in between them, so I've picked a row where I can have 3 triangles all side by side. I'm just going to do a nice straight line and then a big U underneath for a big open mouth. Okay guys, coming up next is our sped up watercolor. So to start off, I'm just going to do a quick little water wash across the whole surface of my llama fruit. I will list in the description below the resources and materials that I'm using. Then I'm just going to start brushing in really lightly some yellow ochre, and we'll start adding in little bits of green. Now in my research I did discover that there are different color llama fruits and that the outside of the fruit determines what the color of the inside will be. So if you really love purple, there is actually purple llama fruits out there. Okay, so I've just did a really base layer here with my yellow ochre and some bright green, and then I'm also going to do the same thing up for the leaf and the stem. For the leaf, I'm just going to do my water wash because it's a nice broad leaf, and then I'm just going to brush in some green, different shades of green. Then while my base layer is drying, I'm just going to go ahead and add in that little watercolor splash across the background, and I'm just going to be using sort of watered down versions of the colors that I've already used in the llama fruit itself. I'm also going to paint in my ground layer here, so I'm just going to create sort of a shadow to have our llama fruit settled. And I'm just doing a water wash, and then I'm going to drag in some blue and maybe a little bit of green. You can add in a little bit of your yellow ochre color as well, and I think just to give it a little bit extra darkness, I'm going to pull in sort of a gray or sort of grayish blue color. And I'm going to place this right under the llama fruit, sort of concentrating the shadow to one side. Okay, so at this point now my base layer is mostly dry, so I'm switching over to a smaller brush. And I'm going to just go back over the fruit, and I'm going to start bringing in sort of this mossy green color here. So basically I've just chosen a darker green than what I've used. And I'm just going to start creating some variation in these little segments. So another thing you can do when you're painting it in is at those places where the lower triangles are coming up underneath the row above it, you can maybe put a little bit more of a saturated color there to sort of create that illusion of a shadow. Now, of course, guys, I've never actually seen one of these fruits in real life, but from the photos, it does sort of look like these segments on the peel kind of rest on top of each other, and they're not just like little bumps. They actually look like separate little pieces. When you're satisfied with this, then you can go ahead and start to pick up some of that green color you used in the leaf, and we're just going to brighten up the color a little bit. I'm going to just paint in a little bit of this yellow ochre color right across that center vein, just to tie it in with the rest of the fruit, and try to keep that center part a little bit brighter, or some part of your leaf brighter. It'll just give some depth to the leaf. And for the stem, it's just a simple brown color. And pretty much, guys, feel free to add your layers as you go. You can add a little bit of brown into the bottom of your llama fruit to ground it a bit more and create more of that shadow. And then for me, the last and final steps will be to just paint the mouth with the nice little pink color and then tap in some cheeks. And I'm going to use the same pink color, just my small brush, and all I'm doing is just taking a little watered version of this pink and just tapping it right underneath the eyes. And that is our super cute llama fruit. Thank you so much for drawing and painting with me today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have any requests, please leave a comment below. I'll be sure to check it out. And until next time, for another Draw with Sandee at the Little Artistic Nook, keep making art and keep smiling.